There's a home in Central California that offers an authentic look at Victorian life across multiple generations of one family, all under the same roof. A home whose history is richly layered through changing design styles, reinventions of the house itself, and even a natural disaster it survived. Thoughtfully curated rooms let you step from one period to the next, so you see how style, layout, and daily habits shift in real time, making this a living Victorian museum that you can feel part of. Welcome to McHenry Mansion in Modesto, California. Hi, I'm Allie, and welcome back to Fab Little Dish, where we celebrate the love for vintage homes and explore historic houses across the country to uncover the beauty and intention behind their designs. My goal is to spotlight these incredible places so we can learn from their stories, find inspiration in their craftsmanship, and help preserve their legacy. If you love historic home tours, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the amazing home tours that I have planned for this channel. Today, we're going to be peeling back all the layers of the McHenry Mansion. We'll tour the architecture, uncover the family history, and the room-by-room details of this 1883 High Victorian Italianate home, and how public tours, events, and interest from people like you help keep it alive. Built in 1883 for Robert and Matilda McHenry, the mansion was designed by architect Jeremiah Robinson in the High Victorian Italianate style, which was extremely popular in nearby cities like San Francisco at the time. Sitting at 10,080 square feet, this house consists of 6 bedrooms, multiple parlors, and 2 indoor bathrooms for a family of just 3. Their son, Oramil McHenry, and his family were the second generation to reside here around the turn of the 20th century. It later operated as a sanitarium, then apartments, then even survived a 2011 fire before restoration. This fire caused severe damage to the front of the building, requiring extensive repairs. A second restoration was completed in 2013, ensuring that McHenry Mansion remained a historic treasure for future generations to come. Robert McHenry was a very successful businessman, spreading across multiple ventures, which ultimately led him to the banking industry. Robert and Matilda had one child, Oramil McHenry. Robert McHenry lived in the mansion until he died in 1890, and Matilda remained here until her death in 1896. Their son, Oramil, then moved in with his wife, Louise, and their 3 children, Robert, Albert, and Ora Louise. The marriage did come to an end in 1901, and Louise relocated to Los Angeles with their daughter. In 1902, Oramil married a woman named Moody, and their son Merle was born in 1903. During those years, the house hosted a busy social calendar. Music in the parlors, formal dinners, and civic guests were very common. This home's family throughout the generations were always very popular in Modesto, so the house was often frequented by guests. As we step inside, we see ourselves in this gorgeous front hall, which was clearly meant to impress. Each room on the lower level is connected by this space, making it the true heart of the home. Mrs. McHenry always wanted a sense of calm as soon as you walked in, which you can still absolutely feel today. To the right is a silver-plated calling card tray. In the late 1800s, calling was a social ritual. Ladies visited on set afternoons, left a card if they were just stopping by, or stayed for a brief 15 or 30-minute chat if their call was received. The wallpaper is a Bradbury and Bradbury reproduction installed the Victorian way, 3 parts stacked, a dado along the bottom, a fill through the middle, and a frieze above the picture rail. The motifs reflect the era's fascination with Chinese and Japanese design from the 1870s to the 1880s. Beneath us is a reproduction carpet woven by Wood Grosvenor in Kidderminster, England, the same firm that supplied carpets in Queen Anne Victoria's time. The pattern is pulled from their 1880s archives, so the color and scale feel spot on for the period. This hall completely sets the tone for the rest of the house we're about to see. And this is the reception room, the pause before a visit really begins. Guests waited here to be received, and quick business calls could happen in this space as well without opening up the rest of the home. The French-inspired settee has a shallow seat and an open back, comfortable for short visits and practical for bustled gowns. At the fireplace, the mantel isn't original to the house, but it is period appropriate. Cast iron with aesthetic era motifs paired with a gilt Eastlake mirror and an Eastlake fire screen. You'll also see small treasures that really represent the family all throughout this space. Travel souvenirs, decorative objects, and family photographs. Everything that truly makes up the character of who lived here. One detail I love, the door hardware throughout the home is original. The locks, plates, and old hinges, little pieces of 1880s craftsmanship that still are doing their job today. This room did exactly what it was meant to do, make a refined first impression while keeping the rest of the home private. Right across from the reception room is the front parlor, the formal one. This is where the McHenrys would host a small tea or receive a few guests, but it would also be part of larger gatherings like Matilda's New Year's Day open house, which spilled into all of the main rooms downstairs. Everything in here has been carefully curated to when the McHenrys lived here. The wallpaper, the carpeting, again, are reproductions from the time, and the draperies are based on the curtain maker's handbook from the Victorian era. The lace curtains were custom woven in Scotland and puddle to the floor, where extra lace would gather on the floor, representing a family's wealth. The fireplace mantel is a reproduction to the original. The first one was removed when the home was converted into an apartment. Above the fireplace, the over-the-mantel mirror is a McHenry family piece, original to the home. It was purchased in San Francisco in 1885 and likely arrived by train. On the mantel shelf is a lambrequin, beading, needlepoint, and tassels, the kind of fine handwork a young woman of that era might have created, in between all of her social commitments, of course. And just look up, a classic gasolier would have given a warm, low glow in the evenings. And on the center of the table is the McHenry family Bible, gifted to Matilda by her mother on December 25th, 1883, their first Christmas in the house. The parlor suite, a sofa, gentleman's and lady's chair, plus 4 side chairs, is Renaissance Revival in walnut. It's elegant but scaled for conversation, the kind of room where visits were short, refined, and memorable. And this is the back parlor, the everyday parlor for the McHenrys, and the one that they actually spent the most time in. It's less formal than the front, meant for music, reading, and family time. This wallpaper, which is a Carter and Company reproduction, leans into late Victorian aesthetic taste. Blossoms and fans in the frieze, and birds painted on the ceiling. All those nature motifs that were wildly popular in the late 1800s. and just look at that light. The chandelier carries Japanese Satsuma inserts on each arm, and at the center, tiny ceramics set into brass, bridging East and Western styles right into the same space. Underfoot, another woodward Grosvenor carpet based on an 1880s pattern completely ties the room together. Against the wall is a gorgeous rosewood grand piano in the Louis XV style. It is said to have come around the Horn to California, a reminder of how far some of these pieces traveled in the 19th century. For the color palette, this room reveals a classic Victorian trick, letting the front color of one room become the wall color of the next. The front parlor's gold carpet becomes the gold wallpaper here, and the terracotta in the carpet reappears on the library walls. Multiple colors, many patterns, and yet everything ties together so beautifully. Carrying design elements from one room into the next is so authentically Victorian, and I love it so much. This library was mainly used for show, but it also served as a way to expand the lower level while entertaining. This desk is called a traveler's desk, and it folds up in different compartments. There's even an original silver oil inkwell with Mr. McHenry's initials on it. This room feels quiet, airy, filled with nature, and very true to the time. This room wasn't just for family meals, it was the center for entertaining. And Victorians loved to entertain around food. That's why you'll see food imagery and nature motifs woven into the decor here. When Oramil and Moody lived here, this space stayed busy. One St. Patrick's Day, they hosted a party that made the local paper. Guests arrived in costume, a band played through a series of dances, and supper was served at midnight. With friends traveling by horse and buggy, nights like that often ran until dawn. Under us, we do see an original oak floor, revealing a beautiful parquet border, subtle but impressive. Above the fireplace, the walnut overmantel mirror is original to the house and in the Eastlake style. On the serving table, you'll spot silver-plated pieces for every course and for absolutely everything you may need something for. For instance, just look at this tall glass with a feather motif. It's a celery vase. Celery was a delicacy then, so it had its own showpiece on the table. The art in here tells a story too. The large canvas here, titled Westward, The Course of Empire by John W. Bell, sets an ambitious tone, really revealing Robert McHenry's roots and how the McHenry Mansion was even born, which is a story of the American dream coming to life. And the still life above the serving table shows game, rabbits, and ducks reflecting what might have actually been served here. And framing the sideboard are hand-painted Limoges plates, a favorite choice for formal dining in the period. It's all designed to impress. Pattern, art, and a table set to keep guests happy here long after the last course is served. And this is a true Victorian kitchen, the working heart of the house. The homeowners would not step foot in this space. This space was reserved for the servants that kept the house alive. Robert and Matilda employed a Chinese cook who lived downstairs near the workrooms, which tells you how active this space was, because a family that entertained here needed to have a cook on hand at all times. The range could burn wood or coal, so heat was managed by feel. Cooks judged the oven by classic tests, by how long you could hold your arm inside until it got too hot. On the stovetop, you'll spot many different tools that were from the period: kettles, waffle irons, irons for your clothing, and also presses for your sleeve that would create the perfect indentations. This really was a space that held the energy of the home, and you can feel that. Around the room are late Victorian labor savers, which are different tools that were created. You'll see hand crank beaters, peelers, grinders, lemon squeezers, nutmeg and cheese graters, butter molds, biscuit and cookie cutters, coffee grinders, meat grinders. I mean, really anything you can think of. The everyday gear that made a pre-electric kitchen so much faster. Food storage here also tells its own story. Most produce was set up in stoneware crocks at home or in canning jars, but by the 1880s, post-Civil War, you had commercially tinned food. These were very handy for the pantry, but many people at the time did complain about a metal taste in the food that was in these cans, and I can see that. These cans look like they would make anything taste like metal. The icebox kept things cool on, of course, real ice. So in the front window, you would place a small card, 25, 50, 75, or 100, so the iceman knew how many pounds of ice to deliver. A 19th century practicality. It's a working kitchen, practical, well-equipped, and ready for anything the family needs. And here's the first floor bathroom. This was a serious luxury for the 1800s. To add indoor plumbing, the McHenrys built 2 brick-lined cesspits out in the orange grove. And in this bathroom, we see a wall-mounted heater delivering hot water on demand. Modern comfort, Victorian style. This is the live-in maid's room, simple, practical, and furnished with hand-me-downs from the family. Everything in here is almost a modge podge of different pieces of furniture from varying styles. You'll spot a Renaissance revival bed, an Empire-style dresser in mahogany veneer, and a wardrobe that's actually a repurposed bookcase. The small stove provided heat during the winter, and the rug here is a leftover carpet remnant from the front parlor. It's a true Victorian servant's room, using a mix of different pieces that had aged out of the formal rooms but kept everyday life running. This was Oramil's son Robert's room, his grandfather's namesake. It's set up as a Victorian nursery so we can see toys for both boys and girls. Toys were very much designed based on roles that were imagined at the time. For girls, dolls and mini household tools. Those 3 large dolls are by J.D. Kessner & Co. from Germany, made around the turn of the century. The Staffordshire little Maid dishes are perfect for pretend tea parties. For the boys, we see a cast iron toy train, which was patented in 1888. And there's also a scooter, like the little ones that boys would race down the sidewalks. Together, they read like a childhood snapshot, an authentic look at Victorian children's toys and how families tried to shape the lives of the children who were playing with these toys before they had a chance to figure out who they were yet. That's another thing I love about Victorian times, is the lack of codes that you had to adhere to when building these homes. Oh, what a time. And this at one time was a guest bedroom. Today, this guest room serves as the mansion's bridal suite. McHenry Mansion helps fund preservation through events and rentals, so if you're dreaming of a Victorian wedding venue, then check their website out for details. Now I'm getting ideas here. This second floor Victorian bathroom also has a built-in tub, but unlike the one downstairs, we are missing the hot water heater. And this is the original McHenry bedroom, staged the way an 1880s Victorian bedroom would have looked during the time. And it's a sharp contrast to the lighter styles in the bedrooms we're going to see soon here. Everything in this space feels intentionally substantial. Wall-to-wall carpeting, heavy draperies, a huge walnut Renaissance revival suite, bed, dresser, and washstand with deep, moody colors. The bed is dressed simply with large pillows and a white-on-white quilt, very period appropriate for a formal master bedroom. And just look at the dresser wall. The placement of the gas sconces is based on the old gas lines found in the plaster, so they'd flank the mirror for grooming. We do think these pieces of furniture were placed in the correct spot based on this discovery. And over here we see a Victorian curling iron with an alcohol burner, the kind used to heat the iron before electricity. It's also very interesting to have this piece in the room because Robert McHenry's granddaughter would die from this very tool. At the foot, you'll see a foot warmer, a little metal heater that you could tuck away, but this actually looks like it might burn your feet if you get too close. And on the walls, we see examples of Victorian hairwork art. made out of human hair. This is keepsake art made from a loved one's hair, a common tradition of the time. Because of the room's orientation and the darker color palette, natural light in here is very limited, which only heightens the rich, cocooned feeling that you have as soon as you step in the room. It's a textbook 1880s master bedroom style, weighty, polished, and built for comfort as much as rich display. In contrast to the bedroom of Robert McHenry's period, this suite shifts us from late Victorian to turn-of-the-century style, lighter, simpler, and much more comfortable. Unlike Robert and Matilda's darker master bedroom, this space swaps the heavy drapery for lighter lace curtains with a small matching valance. We don't see any wall-to-wall carpeting here. Instead, we have hardwood floors with area rugs. The color palette has shifted from a deep, moody palette to this light and airy blue. Looking up, we see a gasolier, which combines gas and electric. Early electricity wasn't reliable at the time, so half the chandelier runs on gas and the other half runs on bulbs, just to be safe. The furnishings follow Oramil McHenry's probate list from 1906, a brass bed, brass hall tree, dressing table, chest of drawers, and a cheval mirror, all recreated to match what would have been here at the time, when he and his family resided in the mansion. Over here in the small closet, we see a morning dress, both types of mornings, one for the beginning of the day and the other that was worn for several years after a death occurred in the family. We also have jewelry and accessories here to look at, small little details that really make you feel like you're stepping into an Edwardian era bedroom rather than a house museum. This space feels lived in, authentic, and all of the items in here still make it feel alive. There is a conjoining room here, which is the private sitting room. The blue color scheme continues throughout with another gas and electric chandelier, lace curtains, and pool shades instead of interior shutters, another detail that made the room feel lighter. All of the upgrades, furniture, and knickknacks we see here signaled a more modern, airy look for the entire space. On the far wall is a portrait of Aura Louise McHenry. This was Oramil's daughter who died tragically by that curling iron accident, which her clothing had caught on fire from. It is a heartbreaking piece of history that still echoes throughout this house. Architecturally, the mantel area here clearly shows colonial revival influence, a taste that surged after the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia. The spinning wheel is another nod to that colonial look, and for comfort, note the upholstered settee and the classic Morris chair, both with original fabric. These show how turn-of-the-century rooms favored ease and everyday use over pure show. Together, the suite reads like a real design transition from High Victorian formality to Edwardian comfort, and it's a perfect snapshot for all of those old souls who love to picture themselves in these homes while you're walking throughout each space. This is another guest bedroom, and it's furnished to reflect the years when Oramil and Moody McHenry lived here as well, saying Moody's mother made this her primary room and stayed here until her death in 1910. Soft textiles, practical furniture, and light colors reflect more of the turn-of-the-century comfort than high Victorian formality that we saw in Mr. McHenry's bedroom and throughout the rest of the early rooms of the house. On the landing, there's a 38-star U.S. flag, the period right after Colorado became a state, so late 1870s into the 1880s. The stained glass is original, with a few panes being replaced, but the design was original to what the McHenrys saw each and every day while living here. McHenry Mansion is where the past and the present meet, a Modesto landmark kept alive through careful preservation and community support. If you enjoyed this historic house tour, please make sure to give the video a big thumbs up so more people can discover its beauty, and be sure to subscribe for more tours featuring Victorian homes, Gilded Age interiors, and other historic spaces filled with rich design history. Your views, likes, comments, and visits help keep places like this alive and open for future generations to come. Until the next one, my friends, keep celebrating the beauty of vintage home. Au revoir.